I always encourage people to not use their own capital. So you're going to need a great business plan and be ready to go to speak to investors. Know your numbers, know your market, know exactly where you want to do this. Knowing the rules of the game is going to help you succeed a lot faster.
Hi, my name is Julian, and today I have a very special guest. Her name is Isabelle Guarino. Isabelle Guarino is with RAL Academy, which stands for Residential Assisted Living Academy, and she's going to be talking to us about residential assisted living. Isabelle, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. For people who don't know what residential assisted living, can you give us an introduction?
Yeah, simply, it's a group home for seniors that provides help with their activities of daily living. So, a single family home being used to house seniors who need help, going to the bathroom, bathing, eating, taking medication, all those different things. So, not like a big commercial facility we're used to seeing, but a regular home.
Got it. Okay, and so if someone has a regular home that they're looking to do a long-term rental on, is there a specific qualification that they need to be a residential assisted living?
Not like zoning wise. Zoning wise, it's still residential, but for the physical home, depending on where you live in the country, you're going to be allowed to have between 6 and 16 seniors in the home. So 16 seniors, that's probably not going to fit in your regular 3-bed, 2-bath. So we're definitely talking about luxury upscale properties in great parts of town with good appreciation and all that good stuff. Most seniors are going to want private bedrooms and private bathrooms. It's okay to have a couple shared options, but you're definitely looking for larger properties on, bigger plots of land, so that you can house quite a few seniors and run a functional business.
Sounds awesome. So what are the returns compared to a regular rental to now a residential assisted living rental?
Yeah, great question. So the national average for assisted living today is $4,500 per month per person. That's what it costs for one of the seniors to live in the home. Now, that's the average, and you're not going to want to leave your goldfish, let alone your grandmother, in most of the average assisted living homes. So we definitely focus on above average, higher end, but let's just use average numbers, right? So $4,500 a month times 10 residents, bringing in $45,000 every month. You may have $30,000 a month in expenses, including like your food, your property taxes and insurance, paying for your staff and your administrator and activities and all that good stuff. And maybe your debt service is $5,000 a month. That's leaving you with $10,000 of monthly net income or $120,000 of annual net income on that one property that you are just the owner of the real estate and the owner of the business on, working maybe 5 hours a week and visiting the home every other month. That's what I do.
Got it. Sounds good. And so we're making 10 grand a month on this residential assisted living. And what size is the property in square footage?
Yes. So let's just keep it with 10 residents, right? We're on that mindset. I'm going to request that our students do at least 300 to 500 square feet per resident, not per bedroom, but per resident. So minimum a 3,000 square foot house, upwards of 5,000 would be very comfortable for 10 residents.
Got it. Okay. Makes sense. So what are the comparisons between the having 10 residents with us to having a long-term rental in it? We're bringing in 10 with the residential assisted living tenants, but what would we bring in as a regular tenant on average?
If it was a regular single family living there, you might be making a couple $100 a month. That's pretty typical in, long-term, I guess long-term rentals, it would be considered. For us, we're getting leases of like 3, 5, 8 years. For single family, they're getting 1 or 2 years. So it is very different. So a couple $100 a month. And obviously you're dealing with tenants, toilets, potentially unpaid rent, drama, teenagers punching holes in the wall, pit bulls being bred in the living room, you name it. It's a whole lot of stress with not a lot of reward. You're going to need a lot of doors to get to your freedom number, whatever that is, versus, maybe 1 or 2 residential assisted living homes that could get you to that number pretty quick.
Got it. So you coach a lot of people. You have a community. So for most people, what is that freedom number?
Yeah, when I'm blessed to share on this topic all across the country. I just got back from San Antonio today. I go to Houston tomorrow. I'm all over the place, but I love sharing on this. About 33 weeks out of the year, I'm out traveling, talking about this, or able to share with awesome groups like yours. The number one response I get is that $10,000 to $15,000 a month. That's what they say. I've got to make this so that I can take a deep breath, right? Spend time with my kids, donate to what I want, buy what I want. So that $10,000 to $15,000 is the pretty normal freedom number. Now, of course, my Californians are like, no way, right? We've got to do double that, triple that. And that's okay. In our training, we actually focus on teaching you how to have 3 care homes within 20 minutes of each other so you can share your resources, because it's actually easier the more you have. But you don't have to go crazy and have 100, but 3, even at $10K a month, that's awesome. Bringing you in $30,000 every single month of net profit to you as the owner. And if you're in a state where you're allowed to have more than 10, right? If you're in Illinois, Indiana, New Jersey, all these different like Texas, where you're allowed to have 16, those homes are cash flowing more like $30,000 or $40,000 a month. And if you had 3 of those, that's crazy monthly income.
Interesting. Okay, so for the person that wants to jump on this, what is the time investment and what is the capital investment to get to 3 residential assisted living homes?
Yeah. There's kind of, this is going to be a long-winded answer, but it's a great question. And I know that everyone listening is probably thinking that, right? Like how much capital and how much time? Like, what are we looking at? So there's 4 ways to get started. One is to buy land and build a custom home from the ground up. People who live in the Midwest or Texas, land is still available and it's still relatively cheap. This is a great way to go about it, especially if you are going to have a home for 12 or 14 or 16 residents. You're going to have to do a massive remodel regardless. So you may as well build a custom home. So land building ground up, that could take anywhere from 6 months to 2 years. And depending on where you are in the country, that can cost a pretty penny, maybe $1 to $3 million, right? 2, you could buy a single family home and convert it to become. That's going to be the cost of real estate in your area. And then what conversion are we doing? Are we just turning the garage into an additional bedroom and adding ramps and guardrails, handrails, or are we adding on 3,000 square feet? That completely ranges. So that is going to be the cost of real estate in your area plus what we're doing with it. And then carrying costs, obviously, because we're not going to be up and running right away. It's going to take us some time. That should take you maybe 6 to 12 months. The third way to get started is to lease a home from someone to do this. So there's a lot of people who just want to own the real estate. They will get it prepped, primed, and ready for you, adding fire suppression, the bedrooms and bathrooms, the ramps, the guardrails, everything that you need. You can lease the home from them. That's a cheaper and faster way to get in. You could be in one of those homes within 3 months and cash flowing within the next 2. So that's kind of one of the faster, cheaper ways, depending on what's available for you. The fourth way is that there are 30,000 of these care homes that already exist. And there's a lot of people who may want to get out, right? Maybe they've been doing this for 10, 12 years and they want to retire, or they got divorced and they need to sell the business. Whatever the case is, there's plenty of these for sale. You can buy an existing one, buy the real estate, buy the business. Again, that's going to depend on your market, how much the real estate costs in your market. And then the business, it might be 2 to 5 times the EBITDA, and that's going to range if you're buying or you're selling, what side you're on, but really it's worth what someone's willing to pay. So that could also be a 3 to 6 month timeline, but the price point's going to highly vary depending on where you are in the country.
Got it. So let's say I wanted to get in on a residential assisted living. What is the multiple of a residential assisted living?
If you wanted to buy an existing, yes, somewhere between 2 and 5. If you're selling, right, we're saying it's 4 to 5, and if we're buying, we're saying it's 2 to 3, and it's somewhere between that. It's whatever you're willing to pay, because if the numbers are right and you're going to be cash flowing literally day one, it's full, the staff is staying, they've got a great reputation, they've got a waiting list. These are all things that you may be willing to pay a little bit more for. If it's a home that's listed publicly on Biz Buy Sell or the MLS, that's terrible because it's probably a bad business. They're probably going out of business. They're probably not full or running things very well. If the staff isn't going to stay, if they have a bad reputation, if they're accepting a lot of government funding, all sorts of different things to look out for when you're going to buy a business, but it might not be worth very much if it has some of those other factors.
Got it. Okay, so 2 to 3 if you're buying, but
Yeah.
you're selling 4. Got it.
Yeah.
And okay, and so the lease option is definitely the fastest way in. That would take renting for the person who already has everything set up for you, and then going out and getting the staff and all supplies and the tenants.
Yep. And marketing to get your tenants. Exactly.
Got it. And so from a return on investment perspective, if I was doing a lease and doing that, what is my entry fee and what can I get out of it in the second month, as you mentioned?
If you're going to own the real estate, right? Let's talk about it from that angle. You don't want to own the business. You're going to lease the home to someone who's going to do this. You could be getting up to twice the fair market rent because you've done all the work. You've got the home ready to go for them. You've added fire suppression ramps and guardrails, made it as close to ADA compliant as possible. So they're willing to pay for all the hard work you've done, and they're a long-term low impact tenant. They are not destroying your property. They want to keep it pristine and clean at all times because they're touring families. So it needs to be meticulous and perfect. So everyone who walks in wants to live there. So it's a great tenant to have if you're going to own the real estate because you might not be in charge of the maintenance. You could get twice the fair market rent, and they're signing, like we talked about earlier, like a 3, 5, 8, or 10-year contract with you. Now, on the other hand, if you're going to be the operator of the business and not own the real estate, you're obviously still looking for a good deal. But if somebody has this home and it's absolutely perfect for you, this is a way for you to get in for less capital. And I would want you to negotiate the terms that you have options to renew, options to purchase, first, right of refusal if they ever want to sell, all sorts of different things that maybe in the meantime, you are making your cash flow and putting some aside so you could buy them out and then own both of them and now be cash flowing even more.
Got it. That makes sense. So I think this is an interesting conversation for a fix and flipper, for example, that, finds deals through marketing or through wholesalers, and they're going to fix up this property. They have as an option also to fix up the property for a residential assisted living operator. Yep. And these houses will command a higher purchase price.
Potentially, if it is ready to go for it, somebody might walk in and be like, ooh la la, this is perfect. But it's a niche industry of people who's looking for it. So you got to have really targeted marketing if you're going to renovate a home for that.
Got it. So let's talk about this niche industry. Where do you find residential assisted living operators?
Great question. So obviously at our training academy, we're teaching people how to own and operate the real estate, but also own and operate the business. So be that operator. Now, I operate my businesses. I visit them every other month and I spend 5 hours a week working on them. So it's not a lot of work to be the operator once it's up and running. So where do you find them? Our training pumps out, 6 to 8 trainings per year with hundreds of people in each class who are excited about this industry. I know there's a couple other people who teach on this subject as well. So I would get in touch with an academy and say like, hey, I want to be on your list of preferred real estate providers that I will have the real estate, I will have it ready to go. And these people can call me and work with me in that way. But also most savvy business investors want their hand in both of the pieces of the pie, not just one of them. So if it's someone who's just going to do this piece, you're probably going to need to have a personal relationship with them, or you have to be solving one of their problems. Is money their issue? Is time their issue? What's their issue? So meeting people at different industry events, like the RAL National Convention, being a part of different RAL Facebook groups online, and then, of course, becoming a preferred real estate provider for companies like ours is a great way to go about that.
Got it. And if I am to go ahead and start or want to start, what are some things that I need to have already preconceived in order to be successful?
Yeah, I always encourage people to not use their own capital. So you're going to need a great business plan and be ready to go to speak to investors. Know your numbers, know your market, know exactly where you want to do this. Knowing the rules of the game is going to help you succeed a lot faster. So your Department of Health website for your state typically will have, a big, huge document that includes all the different rules and regulations. And they'll say something like, each bedroom has to be 80 square feet minimum, right? And that's what most states say. And that's terrible. That's so sad. It's
A closet.
exactly. And so when you come to a training like ours, we're teaching you 300 to 500 square feet. So if you follow our rules, you will knock your state rules out of the park because we're teaching you what's actually good and what actually should be the rules, but they're not. So educating yourself, knowing the rules of the game is going to be really important. And then knowing how to locate the home. Location is everything. Obviously, we're talking about real estate here. And when it comes to residential assisted living, it's about density, demand, and demographics. You have to know that the home will actually work there. How many beds already exist? What are they charging? Do they have waiting lists? Are new big boxes being built? Those internal feasibility studies that those big companies are doing, that's showing you where the money's going, showing you where the need is. So you've got to follow the money, the McDonald's method. So there's a lot to be learned, but definitely knowing the rules of the game, having your location down, and then getting prepared to raise that capital or approach an SBA lender. So having a really great business plan will help you on your way.
Got it. So I like that you touched on demographics. And let's say for the person listening, what are some good demographics? Maybe like, in a 3-mile radius they can look for in order to know if they're in a good area.
What? Yeah. City-data, I think it's .com, will give you demographics of any area. You can obviously Google your area code or zip code or whatever it is and the demographics, and it will show you as well. But City-data is a great resource. You're looking for majority population of people who are 50 to 70 years old, who make twice the median income, who are homeowners. That is not the senior living in your home. It is the adult child who pays for mom or dad to live in your home. They do not want to drive 45 minutes down the road to go visit mom or dad. They want to drive 5 minutes on their way home from work. So we're looking for them. We call it daughter Judy or son Bob, right? It's usually a daughter who's in charge of the parents' care, but it could be a son. So you want to be near them and what they love to, where they eat, sleep, work, play, because if they're the ones who are searching for the home, touring the home, choosing the home, and usually paying for the home. And so being closer to them is going to be the key.
That's great. And for a person that wants to pick this up, is it easy to scale, or do most people in this industry stop at 3?
We encourage at least 3 because having just one, it's a lot of money and resources towards one. Like, for example, your caregivers, they're going to be working 10 or 12-hour shifts. That's like a nurse. So they might be on 3, off 4, or vice versa. Well, if you don't have another home, that means they're working for Joe Schmo down the road the other 3 or 4 days a week. But if you have 2 homes, now they're working 3 or 4 days for you here and 3 or 4 days for you here. You're not paying overtime, and they get to stay in the same work culture and environment. So having more homes makes it easier for you because you can share your staff and even your manager. Managers usually oversee 2 to 4 homes as full-time. It's not full-time for them to oversee one. So if you want the attention of your staff, the more, the better. Now, we have students who have, I think they started in 2017. They're out in Colorado, and they're on home number 26 right now. So you can absolutely scale, but this isn't as easy as single family rentals that you could buy 100 of them overnight and, be doing that all day. There's rules, there's regulations, there's licensing, there's staffing, there's marketing, there's a whole lot involved in this. The reward wouldn't be so great if there wasn't a ton of work involved. To get it set up is a lot, and it takes a bit. Now, systems help make it a lot faster and make it a lot easier, but it's like the first kid, right? You drop the binky and it's like, oh my God, red alert. We need Lysol. We can't put this, we might as well throw the binky away. The second kid, you drop the binky and you're like, oh, and put it back in their mouth. The third kid, you just pick it up and put it in their mouth. You're like, they need the germs. It gets easier as you go on. And the more you open, the easier it gets because you're used to it. You have the systems and you've already worked with the licensing. They already know you now. And you've proven that you are a great owner. And so they're happy to be licensing you more because we have a huge senior housing crisis right now. We are 1.3 million beds short. There's 10,000 people a day turning 65, 4,000 people a day turning 85. The baby boomers are not in assisted living yet. It's the silent generation. And there's 44 million of them, but there's 76 million baby boomers. We're about to double the amount of seniors who need home care and assistance, and we're 1.3 million beds short.
Wow.
We couldn't open these fast enough. So if you could prove that you are a great owner and you're doing things by the book and you're full with a waiting list, it's going to be a lot easier to open that next one.
So let me ask you this. I recently had a conversation with a Section 8 real estate investor, and he told me that there is huge waiting lines for Section 8. Now, is there a such government program where seniors go or the children go to apply where you can easily go and see if there's a waiting list in an area or in a county?
If they're not necessarily. So if you're looking for senior housing for your own loved one, you're usually going to work with a placement agent. This is like a realtor for senior housing, basically. So the thing is, you don't move into assisted living for funsies. You move in because your doctor said you are not allowed to go home alone. You need 24/7 care. And whoever your power of attorney is, it's illegal for them. They need to figure out a situation. So families have three options. Who's going to quit their job and take care of mom or dad full time? Are we going to pay for one-on-one in-home care, which is insanely expensive? Or are you going to $27 an hour? So if you need 24/7 care times $27 an hour times 30 days a month, that's $19,000 a month just for the care, plus your mortgage, your activities, your medication, your food. Most Americans cannot afford that. What, go ahead.
Yeah. So the option is you go and put mom and dad into an assisted living, which usually runs you $4,200.
45
a month. Or you have the option of having people come in-house, which usually costs around $19,000.
Yep. Or you quit your job and take care of them full time.
And then where do I get my money?
Exactly. This is why it's called the silver tsunami. This is why it's such a crisis, because what is everyone going to do? I mean, for real, like, think about it. If your parents needed this right now, what would you do? Like, it's kind of scary.
Yeah, it's definitely scary.
And then you have to think you're now leaving this burden to your own children because the cost of care has gone up 79% over the last 10 years. And it's only going to keep going up. So by the time you and I need assisted living, it's going to be easily 10, 12 grand a month. What are our kids going to do? Like, to me, it's the only solution to own your own home, have a place that you, your loved ones, and your kids could all live in if and when they need it. You're cash flowing in the meantime, and you're providing a solution for your family. It makes the most sense.
Yeah, I understand. I've heard about funeral homes. I've heard about these private equity guys who go and raise money,
okay,
buy a bunch of funeral homes, bundle them together into packages of 10, 20, and then sell them off to an investor or kind of like a bigger institutional buyer. Is that being done in residential assisted living?
Not that I've heard of yet, but our students who do want to have larger buyouts, they are focusing on the same thing, building up a brand of like 10 homes, or like the students who have 26 homes, and then they're going to package them up and sell them off to the hedge funds. So it is a strategy, but it's not that one investor is necessarily going around getting them all. It's one person is starting a brand, a reputation, a whatever, and then they're packaging them up and selling them off.
Got it. Okay. And so can you tell me a little bit about the origin of how you got into residential assisted living?
Yeah. My grandmother actually fell and broke her hip and needed 24/7 care. And my family was faced with that situation. Which of the three options do we choose?
Hmm.
And it was a scary moment. She was living in upstate New York at the time, and we searched and searched and searched. Every place we went into smelled bad. The food was disgusting. It was expensive. It had a waiting list. It was yuck. And it was just like, wow, this is the option. Like, this is it. Um, Mind you, big facilities, Brookdale, Sunrise, Atrium's, the commercial facilities are just as expensive, if not more, than that $4,500 a month. And their ratio of care is 20 seniors to one caregiver. So really, if your mom or dad falls, they may not be checked on till the next day. Well, I've been in those facilities with loved ones who are double diapered, who have UTIs, who have bed sores, who have had to army crawl to get to their button, help, I can't get up, and the battery's dead. I mean, I've heard the most horrific stories. Our homes is 4-to-1 ratio, 4 seniors to 1 caregiver. So it's a lot better ratio. The care can be a lot higher quality, and it's basically the same cost. And so it just makes a lot of sense. But we got in because there was nothing for my grandma. I lived in Arizona at the time. My dad had been a real estate investor for 40 years, and he did quick math and was like, wait, we're going to be paying easily $5,000 a month for her to live in one of these homes, or I could own the real estate, own the business. She can live for free, and I can cash flow 10 grand. Let me buy one. So knowing nothing about this industry, we went and found one for sale, literally bought the business, bought the real estate, had no idea what we were doing. There was no one there to teach us or tell us any tips or tricks or anything, and just learned trial by fire. My grandmother passed before we could move her in, but we kind of fell in love with the industry and the impacts we were having on these families, the seniors, and even the caregivers. Those caregivers are so overworked in a 20-to-1 ratio. They come into our homes, which are more or less luxury homes or mansions, right? And they're like, I'm hanging out in a mansion all day and I just have to care for 4 people. This is awesome. So it's really a rewarding thing. And that's why our company motto is do good and do well. Because if you're just in this for the money, there's a million other ways to make money. Don't do this. I highly encourage you not to do this. But if you have a heart for helping people and you'd want to be a part of a community that makes an impact and is changing the world, then it's that perfect balance. And it's probably a good thing for you to look into, but it's got to be, that equal balance of do good and do well.
That's amazing. What are some things, so you mentioned that you were able to improve the quality of this residential assisted livings in comparison to the ones that you saw that you were looking for your grandma. Can you tell us about some of the different qualities that your residential assisted living has that others who aren't in your training or just happen to be doing business or learning elsewhere probably don't have?
Yeah. A lot of it honestly comes down to the budgets. The average cost for food per person per day in assisted living is $2 to $3 per day per person. That is like rice and beans and hot dogs. I mean, that's nothing. So a lot of times you go into these homes and it's terrible quality of food. We increased that to about $6 to $8 per day per person, which still sounds low, but it affords a lot more. You have to consider you're cooking at home, you're eating at home, you're buying in bulk, and seniors don't really eat a lot. They're not burning all the same calories we burn throughout the day because we're up and running around. So it's different. So quality of food is so important. Food is like their biggest entertainment at that age, and it's like vital. Also, we did little things like when they came in, we asked them about themselves. What is your favorite food? What was your wife's name? What are your kids? Like we would ask them about themselves, help them decorate their room. If they loved old school cars, we're putting them up. We're buying those puzzles. If they love lobster and cheesecake, then that's what we're giving them, and it's like we did welcome parties for new seniors. Like a new one comes in and it's like we send out little invitations to all the other ones. We put them by their doors. Hey, Leo is moving in and we have a party for Leo, a welcome party. Like they don't have the time and energy to do that in big boxes. And when you have a low budget, if you are in an assisted living with a lower budget, so paying our caregivers more, treating them with a whole lot of respect and thank yous and you're amazing and team parties and team bonding, all sorts of stuff. And then loving on our seniors more, giving them more things to look forward to, lots of celebrations. We added activities in the home, so pet therapy, senior yoga. I got volunteers from my sorority to come in, from local private schools to come in and sing to them, paint their nails, do puzzles. I mean, you name it. We're doing it, but activities, food, and then quality care. Those are all huge, as well as within the real estate, whatever upgrades you can do to make it nicer and better. So maybe it's adding in that fill fast jacuzzi bathtub type thing so they can kind of take a little jacuzzi lounger. Or maybe it's adding in different little workout machines, a recumbent bike, not a Peloton. They don't need that, but little things to make them have some physical activity. So there's a lot of upgrades that you can do, better air filtration systems. And then honestly, brightening up the place, painting it so it looks better, fresh comforters, new flooring, like little things go a long way to make it really feel like a home. And that's so important.
That's amazing. I love how much effort you put into it. I can tell you're proud, and it's amazing. What is so some of your students, so tell me, like, who comes in your trainings and why?
Yeah, so we host trainings every 6 to 8 weeks in Phoenix, Arizona. We have about 100 to 150 people in each class. We've been running our academy for the last 10 years or so. December will be 10 years. And really who we see coming in are real estate investors, entrepreneurs, medical professionals. We have a lot of doctors, dentists, anesthesiologists, chiropractors. But then we have people who are already in the industry, right? They maybe own care homes, but they see our numbers and say, how do I get my home to be cash flowing like that? So they come to learn to improve their businesses. But it's really just, honestly, anybody. I mean, we've had fishermen, we've had teachers, we've had stay-at-home moms, we've had policemen. We keep getting a lot of New York City policemen. I think and they keep telling me that they're finding me on TikTok, and I'm like, uh-oh. My little TikTok dances are going around the NYPD.
Oh, it's such a good picture.
Gosh, but all sorts of people. Really, as long as you have the right heart and you're wanting and ready to do this. We find that a lot of people come to us because they're looking for something that actually makes an impact. They don't just want to get a check to get a check. They want to get a check that is wrapped in a love letter. They want to get a check that comes with a thank you. And so this is kind of that good blend of those things. But really, it's just people with amazing heart and a lot of grit.
That's amazing. So in your investing journey, how many homes did you get to?
So we just have our 3 homes. So we purchased that first one existing. The other 2, we purchased as single family homes and converted them to become RAL homes. The 3 are nice and easy because I can have one manager who oversees all of them. If I add to it, I wouldn't want to add one more. I'd want to add a whole nother 3-pack. So we've just held off, and instead I now invest in some of our students or people who come to me in their different residential assisted living deals. So we've invested in over 50 deals across the country up to date. And that's kind of the role I like to play now, is just being more of an angel investor for people who have really great projects.
That's awesome. So you mentioned, the cash flow you're getting from those 3, is it around the same, the 10 grand that you mentioned on average, or are yours better run in
In Arizona, so it depends on where you live. Where are you, Julia?
I'm in Miami.
Oh, okay. So Florida is very similar to Arizona in that we have a lot of seniors, so our cost of care is on the lower end. So both of us, our averages match the national average, $4,500 per month.
Mhm.
So my lowest end home charges between $4,000 and $6,000 a month, and that home brings in about $10,000 to $12,000 every month. My middle tier home brings in about $5,000 to $7,000 per resident, and it brings in about 12 to 15. And my highest end home brings in more like 7 to 9 per resident, and that home cash flow is more like 15 to 18,000 a month. So I kind of have those different tiers because if someone visits the high end home and then they say, I love it, but we don't have the budget. Do you have anything else? I've got 2 tiers down, right? And if
Yeah.
someone goes to the lowest end home and says, well, we're actually looking for something in this part of town, right? Or with this or with that, it's like, okay, and we can go up. So it kind of gives you that flexibility to serve all different types of clientele and not just be like, this is the only type of person or price point I can serve.
That's great. So you can serve more of your clients.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about your convention. How many people show up and what's it look like?
Yeah, so our national convention happens once per year. This one is happening September 7th through 9th, so it's literally a month away. And there's about 500-ish attendees. We'll have over 50 different sponsors, 30 different speakers. Nick Stanton-Estaso is going to be the special guest this year. We always have a ton of fun. It's basically all industry experts and people who are there learning to get into the industry. And it's a super fun time. It's like a party. We give awards. We have a huge award ceremony for everyone who opened a care home that year. And you're just getting a ton of great networking with other people who are in the biz. And like, if you are looking to just own the real estate, that's a great place to go meet all these people who will want to partner with you. And if you are an operations person, it's also a great place to go around and look for somebody who wants to maybe be that money side or that real estate side. So the networking is off the charts. And it's just a lot of fun. We do like cigars and stars. We have comedian come. There's a banquet dinner, cocktail hours. It's always a lot of fun.
Oh, that sounds amazing. When it comes to creating the community feeling, what is it that you have built for the people that are coming?
Into the homes or into...
In both. It sounds like you're talk about like, I don't just want to check, I want to check wrapped in a love letter, you know?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so when it comes to like people interacting with your products and people who eventually end up doing some senior homes, what is kind of like that that theme you would say that you kind of give as a frame for that?
Yeah. I think honestly, what attracts people to us is that we aren't like gurus. Like there's so many people out there just teaching and preaching on stuff that they don't even do or have no experience in. Everyone who teaches with me at my academy, they're past students who learned, who went out, got their homes up and running. They're still opening more. And now they're back to just teach and train from the love of their own heart of this industry. And so everybody up there has personal experience and is so open and shares with you. We're also a family business. This was started by my father, and I work with him. I worked with him. My sister works with me now. My youngest brother works with me now. My dad passed in 2021, so I kind of took over his role, leading the company forward. My mom works with us, some uncles, some cousins. I mean, it's definitely a family business. And I think people really enjoy that they like, people tell us all the time, like, now I'm a part of the RAL family. Now I'm a part of, this group. And it's like, oh, okay. Like, I love it. So we don't really like say that or pitch that. But once they come, it becomes this family thing that they are just so excited to be a part of. So I do think the family culture is something that separates us from everybody else who's teaching on this, and they're just focusing a lot on the money side of it or focusing a lot on the care side of it. It's like we have that balance. We're not egotistical in that guru manner, and we're literally a family. So it's like, you're meeting my mom, you're meeting my, my little brother, like you're meeting everybody. And it's like, we're just very open, and I think people really like that.
Yeah, that sounds very inviting. When it comes to this impact you want to bring, do you have a vision that you look forward to completing?
Yeah. Our mission is to positively impact 10 million seniors through providing high quality senior housing in a residential environment. And people ask all the time, like, why do you teach on this? Why don't you just open 100 of these? And truly, the more you get to know me, I feel like you'll understand when people ask that, it's all about abundance mindset. If I just kept quiet and kept the secret to myself and just kept opening homes, first of all, I'm actually not helping people. I'm not helping seniors and I'm not helping the community because all I can create is a certain amount of homes at a time. But if I can use my God-given skill, which is speaking and training and helping other people get inspired, then I can actually ignite a whole lot more people to go open their homes. And if each of us can open 3 or 10 homes, now we can truly make an impact. There's such a shortage that it doesn't matter if I trained every person on planet Earth. Only some people are actually going to take action. Only some people are actually going to go do it. I mean, how many people like listen to your show or go to a seminar or do this or do that and don't do anything? A lot, right? And so there's only a percentage of people who will actually hear me and be like, I'm going to go, I'm going to take action, I'm going to get signed up or make this happen, whatever it is. And so I could preach till I'm blue in the face. Only some people will do it, but I need everyone who will do it to do it. And so if everybody can open a 3-pack, now we can be impacting more and more and more. And so really, that's why I'm out here, sharing and teaching and training on this, because it's a drop in the bucket, but we have to keep going because our seniors deserve better options. And I mean, earlier when we were talking about it, it's like you got a little scared for a second, like, oh, shit.
It really is like, what am I going to do with my mom, my dad,
Yeah. And like when people realize this, it's like, it's for real. Like it's not that far away because you never know what's going to happen, right?
Even for a person that's healthy like you and I, we might get into some accident and we might need 24/7 care, for example.
Yeah. And to think most people are living paycheck to paycheck and do not have an option for this, and they think that the government's going to take care of them. The government pays out at about $1,800 per month. It's going to provide you $1,800 a month worth of care and food, and it's going to be the worst place you've lived your whole life. And that's saying something. So it's like, this is a serious thing. And so I'm really passionate about it and really passionate about sharing that so that we can all positively impact and actually make a dent in this industry.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's great. How many people have you trained so far?
Over the 10 years, we've probably had, I would say, over 8,000 students would be my guess. We're probably right around 8,000 because we have a live course. We have an online course, and then as well as the national convention once a year. We have a couple of other businesses that we run that kind of revolve all around this, but I would say we're at about 8,000.
8,000. How many of those 8,000, if you have metrics, actually have a home?
Oh, yeah. I wish I had better metrics because we do coaching and mentoring after our courses. So for our students who take that next step, of those 2,000 students, I have much better metrics. Of the 8,000 total, I don't have as many because if they just take the course and never call me again or never talk to me again, then I don't know. Until they randomly email me one day and say, I opened a home. And I'm like, yeah. But so those are kind of hard to categorize. But of the people who do work with me and my team, of those, let's say 2,000 over the last 10 years, we represent over 1,000 homes added to the 30,000 homes that have existed. So that's pretty cool. And obviously some people own more than one. So it's not that it's a 50% success rate. It's that there's 1,000 homes from those 2,000 people.
Got it. So from 2,000 people, there's 1,000 homes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like you guys are taking action.
Oh, we love to.
And tell me, where can people find you?
Yeah, so we're on all forms of social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, you name it, at RAL Academy. And if you want to check out a free webinar or schedule a call with me or one of my team members, you can go to RAL101.com. You can even download my free book there and grab tons of free resources. So RAL101.com.
And is RAL Academy on TikTok where these NYPD officers are?
Yeah, we are on TikTok. You can follow me there. And I'm on it all the time. I love it. It's a lot of fun. It's a great platform.
Yeah, it's fun. That's great. Well, thank you, Isabelle, so much. I really enjoyed learning about residential assisted living. I hope that my audience is learned so much as I did, and that they come check you out. And I got to say that when it comes to real estate, you're definitely doing something that is wrapped in a love letter. So, yeah, appreciate it.
Means a lot. Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.